Okay, so I was asked a little bit about Tu B'Shvat, and then perhaps we'll have time. I was asked to speak a little bit about Parsha. Just a general idea, general theme of Tu B'Shvat, the lesson it has for us. It's an unbelievable idea. We see as the seasons go, perhaps here in LA, seasons are not so noticeable. But as the seasons go, comes beginning of spring, you see rejuvenation of the trees. You start to see buds. It will take a while till they are full of leaves and full of flowers, full of buds. Then it will take some more time till the flowers, the buds, the fruit starts to appear, start to grow slowly. So now different trees have different length of time, how long it would take. Fruits like peach, plum, they take about 4 or 5 months. Comes the middle of summer, they're ripe, they're ready, they're used. Fruits like oranges, grapes, they take about 6 months. You don't see them till the natural thing. It takes till fall, till they are ripe and ready. But what we see, the start of the process that we do see, is a spring. As far as we are concerned, and if they would ask us, looking at it superficially, the process is started in spring. But Chazal, with the holiday celebration of Tu B'Shvat, are telling us this is a wrong way of looking at things. It is not conducive to life to look at the world like that. True, what you see, what meets the eye is spring, but it's Machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, whether it's middle of Shabbat or beginning of Shabbat. So it's about 2 months earlier where things start to move. The tree sap has to start recirculating 2 months before, so you have fruit. You want to have good etrog? Arizal says it's a good idea to pray on Tu B'Shvat. Now, the etrog that comes out next September, you want to, the tree right now is bare. No leaves on it. It's absolutely bare. And you don't see anything. But things are happening. Things are starting to happen. That is, Chazal are telling us with this idea of Tu B'Shvat, that is the correct vision to look at the world. There is always the background work that allows and gives ability for the work to happen. To come springtime and try to start the process, they're too late. If the tree hasn't started recirculating for 2 months, the tree sap, and coming alive inside, it wouldn't be alive outside. Right? If I could just talk a little bit metaphorically, if the tree were to wake up first day of spring, too late. There are not going to be no leaves, and since there are no leaves, there are not going to be no fruit. When is the fruit that we're going to see next September? When is it happening? It's happening now. It's happening. You don't see anything it doesn't come to the eye. But if you put the tree under a microscope, if you know the system, what works inside, that's how it is. That's how it is. I remember when I was teaching in Yeshiva back in East Coast, so the Bet Midrash was getting smaller, Baruch Hashem, she was getting bigger. So they built an addition. And I would pass with the boys every day. And there was always there's a building, so you hear comments, so they did this, or they're doing this now. The comments as it was going up. So when the building was done, I told them, what is the lesson? We see this happening before our very eyes every single day. The lesson is they dug up, they poured concrete, they poured a foundation, then they covered it again with earth. We don't even see it. We don't even see that part. It's closed, it's blocked from eye. Cannot be superficially seen. Only an architect could know. Looks at the building, knows there must be a good foundation. So the foundation took 6 months to build. The rest of it, what we think is the real building, took 2 months. The walls and the roof and the lights, we come the lights, the plumbing, this, that, we think these are the major things. These are what we use. But the major thing, what makes them function, is that foundation that holds up everything. Everything is like that. The planning that works into it. That's not even looking at the planning and the drawing and this and that. Everything in life is about that. You want to succeed at something. You want to succeed at the relationship with our children. It takes some work, it takes some planning. And one of the biggest problems we see nowadays is we do not have patience for our own good. We don't give ourselves enough time. We want to see right away results. We want to get up, first day of the spring, start working and see the buds, see the new tree, see the new life. It doesn't go like that. So, 2 things. Number one, really, we have to give credit and be aware of the value of planning, value of not going into something unprepared. Preparation is an important part of it. It's very, very important. Number 2, and I think this is very, very important, the life that we have, the society, the technology that we have now, it works against this idea that I'm telling you. Not to get disappointed and discouraged quick. We have this instant world. People have a news, they put it on, I don't even know the names anymore. Twitter and live chat and FaceTime, all these things. Right away we're bombarded. And we don't, our mind is not really geared to think like that. If I see that, if I read the success about so and so in the Twitter, it may have taken months or years. I just read in Twitter 1 minute and I wish to do the same thing in my Twitter tomorrow. And I try to do something, it doesn't go, I give up, I discourage. No, it doesn't work like that. There is a lot of background planning that finally you see the moment of the result. That moment should teach us, we should have that view of seeing. There must be a big foundation behind it. You see the fruit, Chazal say, you want a good etrog? Now is the prayer. You look at a tree, now, next week, this week, around this time. Obviously, it doesn't mean every tree is exact same day, but it means this is the time. This is the season that trees start to, as I said, the sap starts to recirculate. You see a tree, you don't see any change, any movement that meets the eye. But there is a change. The trees started working for that fruit that we're going to get in September. So that's an important thing. Again, 2 things. Number 1, do plan, do prepare, do have a long-term idea in your mind. And don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. People come to me, be it relationship with their wives, be it with their children, be it business. So an idea, and say, look, I try, Rabbi, I'm not going. How long did you try? Did it give it a chance to work? Right? I tried, it didn't go. Try talking to your child like this. I tried, it didn't go. How long did you try? Let it make an effect. Give it time. We should really give ourselves more credit. I think, as a general, I'm not talking about anybody specific, but as a society, we have come to be less impatient and less believing and less hopeful about our own abilities, because we would like instant answer, instant gratification. We don't want to even work on something, or if you have a question, we don't even want to think about it. Someone asks me a question, so I try to say, Rabbi, just tell me the answer. Try to explain to him what is involved in this question. Just give me the answer, Rabbi. It's function of really the life we have, but we need to be able to see the other side. There's so much one could accomplish. One is willing to look at it like that. Okay, so that's Tu Bishvat.
Where's the date coming from?
What?
Tu
So I told you the date this is the idea, I guess, on average, right? On average, that's the time where the tree sap starts to recirculate.
So is there a Torah? Is there a source for in Torah?
The source is in Mishnah. As it happens, it's Machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel.
4 years.
Bet Shammai says Rosh Chodesh Shevat. Now, okay,
Yes,
now
so
once you're getting
start
into
with
that,
4
it's
years.
really related. It's really related. And Chachamim explain, of all the tens of machloketim between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, there's only one machloket. There's only one machloket between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. They have a different view, different point of view. They have different worldviews. They look at things different. Bet Shammai always looks to Bet Shammai, the reality is deeper than what Bet Hillel says we should deal with. Always. It's always like that. Every machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel is like that. Give a couple of examples, but you could find many, many examples. Right? You cannot give two different type of produce. You cannot give teruma from one and another. So Bet Hillel says, if you have some olives and you made some of them into oil already, you cannot give the oil teruma on the all olives because the rest of them are not oil yet. They are just olives. You want to give teruma from the oil, you could only give on the amount that is already oil. Bet Shammai says, no, you could. Because Bet Shammai, when they look at the olive, they see the oil. What's going to be with these olives? Right? About a couple of percentage of olive in the world is eaten. Olive is stable is because of the oil. So when Bet Shammai looks at the olives, it sees oil. I don't see a contradiction between the olive and the oil. They look deep down. Bet Hillel says when it comes to Hanukkah, you count what? You count up. First night we light one candle, second night we light 2 candles, etc. My Bet Shammai says the opposite. First night you light 8, second night you light 7. Why is that? What's the machloket? Bet Shammai says when I look at the first day of Hanukkah, that means I have 8 days of growth ahead of me. Second day, 1 day is done already. Is less. It's not more, it's less. So they look on a deeper level. Second day of Hanukkah, you have 7 days that you could still what? You could take from, you could learn, you could use. You could utilize. Second day, you could utilize 7 days. So you light 7 candles. Fourth day, you could utilize another 5 days. You light 5 candles. That's how it is. They look. It's everything about that is a little bit deeper. So it's interesting. Machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Bet Shammai says Rosh Chodesh Shevat is when we consider the cheers to restart, rejuvenate. Bet Hillel says 15. So it seems even within looking deep, the question is how deep. Bet Shammai looks at some minuscule change. This is it. This is the first movement that is going to snowball into everything. Bet Hillel takes it a little bit further. Now, obviously, as I said, I don't think it means every single tree is there. We talk about approximately on average, that's when it is. But Bet Shammai, in general, is looking at something, at a movement, at a change that is much more subtle and much smaller. But that's their worldview, that a small, deep things is what makes everything else to happen. So, but it's not in Torah, it's in Mishnah.
Not Torah at all. There is no source for the Torah at all. Chachamim just made up something. Hey, let's have
It's a reality. It's not a made up. It's a phenomenon within the world. Potentially, if we know what to look at, we could determine it also. When you see that phenomenon happening. Now, it is in Torah as the secrets of Bereshit teach Chachamim, those who are in that level, how to figure out how the world works. The mechanics of the world is what we call Maaseh Bereshit. The really behind the curtain, what makes everything tick? Why is it that wood burns and metal melts? All those whys and all these things, why of it is Maaseh Bereshit. What makes it tick is Maaseh Bereshit. So we have another way of figuring it out is through the scientific research. But they had it through Maaseh Bereshit. So they knew these ideas. They were able to figure out really when is it. They were able to see. I'm sure there are some signs that they were able to see in the trees that predicts what it is, how the tree is responding.
You should have used the solar calendar like
They did.
Kollel.
So that's a Gemara. That's a question in Gemara Rosh Hashanah. Gemara in Rosh Hashanah asks your questions. Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says he has a good question that the trees work by seasons. Okay, so if it works by seasons, then it would make sense that it's not on a lunar date; it's on a solar date. 15th of Shvat is a lunar date. Now, to understand the answer, you do know that our calendar adjusts itself. Every 2 or 3 years, it adjusts itself, right? So it is approximately together with solar, but not always the same. It could go up and down about, 15 days. Rosh Chodesh Nisan could be 15 days off from first day of spring. Right? It could be up to, not even 15, up to about 12 days this way or that way. So theoretically, you could be a few days off from one year to another year if you go with 15th of Shvat. It would make sense that the trees respond to the seasons, to the solar calendar. That's the question Gemara in Rosh Hashanah asks.
So it would be off really a month, not only 15
Not
days.
a month. You cannot be.
9 days
30
short.
days. 30 days. No?
Lunar calendar is 9 days short. So
Right, but
so
that's
it's
accumulation.
21 days.
The reason I'm asking is because sometimes Chanukah falls really by Thanksgiving, which is the 27th, and something that falls by Xmas, which is the 24th. So it's more than 15 days.
I have to. Yeah, but Hanukkah is supposed to be in between. It's
So 15
12
that's
days
what I'm
each way, I think.
So I'm saying,
It's 12 days each day.
So
12 days each way.
12 days each way, so that's 24 days.
Yeah, but
So
it's not off by 24 days. It's off by 12 days. Right? It's off about 12 days. Maximum. So you want to ask that question. You want to says it's a question of averages. By most years it falls around them. So it's easier that it works like that. Good. We have a couple of minutes. So something I really, really like this. We have in this week's parasha, Ze keli v'anvehu. What does it mean, Ze keli v'anvehu? Rashi brings a number of translations. What does it mean? Ze keli v'anvehu. This is my God, and I will glorify it. I think that's the most simple from Naveh. I will glorify it. So what does glorify? Rashi says one example is that we will build a Bet HaMikdash. That's the biggest glory you could give. V'anvehu. So another pshat is everything we do. So sukkah we decorate our sukkah. We make sure our tefillin is the nicest it could look, and our talit, etc. V'anvehu. You make it nice. This is the translation of the pasuk. Okay. However, from the first word, what do we see? Ze. Ze means what? This. When you say this,
Single.
is what? Jack?
Single.
I know. But when you say this, that means
The
something.
concept, you're pointing to it.
You're pointing to it. You're seeing it. You're observing it. You're beholding it. So Chazal learn from here that what?
No.
Ra'a shivcha shebayam ma shelo ra'a Yechezkel ben Buzi. Shivcha shebayam. Right? Even the lowliest of the Jews came to a level of prophecy. They saw the spiritual world so great that even Yechezkel ben Buzi, later one of the greatest prophets, he did not see that much. Okay? Good? Now, Yechezkel ben Buzi, how come Yechezkel ben Buzi is mentioned? Because Yechezkel ben Buzi is one of the two prophecies that we have of Maaseh Merkava. There are two times in prophets that we see that our prophets had a vision of Maaseh Merkava, a vision of heavenly courts. Right? The court of Hashem, whatever that means. So now, part of one, we read, both of them, interestingly, both of them are Haftarah of Aseret HaDiberot. Right? Both of them are Haftarah of Aseret HaDiberot. On Shavuot, when we read Aseret HaDiberot, we read the Haftarah of Yecheskel. Anybody recalls that Haftarah? I mean, goes through the detail, every malach, every saraf. You saw that the malachim had 6 wings, and they had this, and their face was looked as it was shiny. Every page after page, Yecheskel Navi describes what he saw. That's the Haftarah that we read for Aseret HaDiberot on Shavuot. Next week, Parshat Yitro, also Aseret HaDiberot, we have another Haftarah that talks about Maaseh Merkava. Who knows which one it is? Yeshaya. The part that we read every day in Tefillah, in Uva Letzion. Right? That I saw, the wind came, and they said, Kadosh, Kadosh, and they said, I came, I said, Baruch Shem, Baruch Yevod. Few lines, the whole thing is finished. Yeshaya is not going to give us all that details that Yecheskel gave. So the Gemara asks a question, who was greater? Yecheskel or Yeshaya? Who was greater? Yeshaya. Why is that, doctor?
He was there all the time.
Here.
He was there all
right. So it says, Yecheskel is giving us so much. He just spoke about Yeshaya, just spoke about it like...
Yeah.
So you know, says it's not because Yeshaya didn't see as much. It's because Yeshaya was not as impressed. Yeshaya was so used to seeing, by that time when he wrote it, was so used to seeing the heavenly court.
It was normal for him.
It's normal. You're not going to describe it. So the Gemara says, "Ze domeh le'ironi she'ra melech, ze ro'eh ben kefar she'ra melech." A ben kefar, a villager who hasn't seen a sports car in his life, right, comes and sees the president's motorcade, is going to have hours of what to tell his friends and his classmates. You know, we have this and that.
Reverse also. It could be reverse also.
It could.
Some people
they're not impressed that easily.
No, they're not detail oriented.
That's right. That's right.
I'm one of them. My wife sees much more than I see.
Yeah, that's also personality. But even within you, when you're impressed, you have more to say than when you're not impressed. Within ourselves, it is. You're right. Could be different personality also. So, right. But a Ben Ir that has seen motorcades is going to say, "Oh, the president's motorcade was bulletproof." Doesn't have much to say. You know, it just has to say the difference. What is impressed by? You know, you don't have to explain to you what a motorcade is. So Yecheskel comes on the Gemara was not as great as Yeshaya. Yeshaya was greater than Yecheskel. Right? Don't get me wrong. Yecheskel was a very, very great Navi. But compared between the two of them, Yeshaya was greater. So the question is, Chachamim want to tell us that Jews got to the highest level of prophecy. Why give me an example of Yecheskel? Why not say Yeshaya? Ra, Shivcha Shamash Ra Yeshaya, Navi should have said. Why Yecheskel? If the Gemara says Yeshaya was greater, why not use him? You always try to use your best example. So that's because of what? The beginning of the pasuk. Zeh, they saw Hashem, and the first thing is, we got to glorify. Right? Perhaps a little bit is what Jack said. We need to teach ourselves not to get used to some stuff, to be impressed. You want to maintain the anvehu, zekeli. What is the second part of the pasuk? The anvehu, glorified. If one becomes a little bit complacent and a little bit, you know, lethargic about it, it's same old. So then you lose on the vanvehu. And it's very, very important, especially for people like us. Baruch Hashem, I'm involved in Shabbat every Shabbat. I'm involved in Tefillin every day. I'm involved in this. Zeh keli vanvehu. Remember, the more we get to be zeh, the more we get close to be able to witness, we should as much also try, it's a work like everything else, it's a practice like everything else, to have the anvehu, to be able to glorify it, be impressed by it. No! Know what it is. That's one of the things. We have Tu Bishvat this Friday night. That's one of the reasons of bracha. You make a bracha to be impressed, not to forget, oh my gosh, here's a fruit. It tastes good. Just take a step back. The most ordinary fruit that we have now, what is it, apple? It's the most common probably. And next time you eat an apple, take a step back, wait a second, just savor the taste. The sweet and the sour together. It is really unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So what happens? Two things happen. One of them, we don't have time to savor anything. And second is we got very used to it. And give yourself a time, and that's the halacha bracha. Stop. You want to eat an apple? Don't just eat it like same old, same old. Thank Hashem. There is a fruit here. There is a sweetness here. There is a special taste here. That is the Edu. Okay.
חזק וברוך.
חזק וברוך.